most intense, thrilling, electrifying sport on the planet. Mixed martial arts. You've been looking for the definitive podcast to call your new home to hear everything about it. The search is over. This is the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. Bringing you the hottest MMA breakdowns straight from the heart of the octagon. This show is all about MMA breakdowns. For fans, by fans. We're talking UFC, MMA, and the occasional big boxing match. We'll bring our unique take on how these fights are going to play out and who we think are the best bets. Welcome to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. And now your hosts, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and Emiliano, a.k.a. Jive Turkey Nano.
What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. I'm your host, Olin, a.k.a. MMAnomaly, and with me, as usual, is the co-host with the most, Jive Turkey Nano. How are you doing, brother?
I am doing fantastic, brother. Great to see you as always. Still recovering. I'm still coming off that high, that tidal wave of a fight card that was UFC 311. And hey, man, you as well, brother. I mean, you were there in the flesh, into a dome, looked amazing. Can't wait to break down 311 with the one and only MMAnomaly, brother. Great to see you. And let's go Sav, as always, in the chat. Come on. It ain't the last stream until Sav's in it, baby. Come on, baby.
That is an absolute fact, my friend. We always love to see Sav in the chat. Shout out to you. Let's go. Oh, man. This fight card was just an absolute banger, top to bottom, bottom to top. Let me tell you, as I like to say, the fun did not stop for UFC 311. Oh, my goodness. Nano, we're going to go ahead and jump into the first fight right on. We're not going to kill any time. We got to get this going because every fight, as I said, it has to be talked about. So we had the first fight in this flyweight division. It was Tagir Ulanbekov against Clayton Carpenter. Oh man, I know we were both feeling the dog a little bit in this one, but Clayton Carpenter, he was worth betting on as a dog. Okay, I'll do my shot early on here, but look. That being said, we did do a small bet on him. We didn't bet a shot on him, so we'll do the shot for the next one because I did put one on Ricky Tercios. But Clayton Carpenter, he got taken down. He got controlled for a significant amount of this fight, and it's because Tagir Ulanbekov really chained together the wrestling. The chain wrestling was the massive differentiator here. Landing 3 of 6 of his takedowns was very impressive, and the amount of control that he racked up after that was very impressive. But equally as impressive, in my humble opinion here, Nano, and correct me if I'm wrong or crazy here on our limb, Clayton Carpenter landing the same number of significant strikes as his opponent with nowhere near the amount of control time and only 1 takedown of 4, that tells you exactly what kind of kid this dude is. So I like Clayton Carpenter. I think it's a fight that he lost on paper professionally. Now he goes to 8-1, right? Instead of 9-0. But I digress. Even in loss, I don't feel like this kid really lost any momentum or any fans. Nano, what were your thoughts on this fight and what stood out to you or shocked you, if anything at all?
Yeah, brother. Yeah, appreciate the lead in here. And I was on your boat as well. I was taking the underdog. I thought Clayton was going to be alive, betting underdog here. But the reality is those Russians, man, those Dagestanis, those boys, different level of wrestling. Although the co-main event certainly may tell you otherwise. We'll get there later. I'm going to stay in this card here and give Tagir his flowers. I mean, honestly, I think the one thing that surprised me is just when I saw the face-off and getting closer to the fight, I didn't realize how big Tagir is. I give Clayton all the credit, but he's a true flyweight in the division. Tagir is kind of a weight bully. I mean, he's got the long, and maybe he's built for the division. He's got those long, skinny arms, but he's really, really strong, and he uses that to his advantage. I mean, he was keeping Clay at bay, like you said, even though they landed the same amount of significant strikes. It just felt like Tagir's strikes were a little bit more significant than Clayton's. He was in the driver's seat. He was pushing Clayton back. Clayton did good stuff in some of those immediate takedowns, but the chain wrestling and like playing chess, once you maybe stop the first one, there's 2, 3, 4 more moves, additional counters that are following up, and a relentless pressure like Tagir continues to showcase. Very, very impressive, man. Set the tone for the card. and he had a big call out. I don't know if it was in the post fight or in the octagon, but he mentioned trying to get in there with our boy Alexander Pantoja. Huge call out. I love it. I mean, as a 11th ranked guy, I don't know if you're gonna get it, but boy, do I love shooting for the stars, and you still land on the moon, right? Speaking of that, I mean, hey, there's a few guys there in the top 5. I think he's entered the chat, right? I mean, with the win like that, I know Clayton's not ranked, but you're continuing to get a win streak going. Why not? You know, looking at the landscape, I mean, an Amir Albazi potentially coming off a loss off Brandon Moreno, ranked 3. A Tatsuro Taira. I mean, there's a lot of great names. Asu Almabake. Well, I think he's already fighting coming up soon. Asu. Anything that's in. Yep. Almabayev.
Yeah,
a lot of great names, a lot of new contenders. Yutho Tagir in with any of those guys, and I think he holds his own. And I think it makes for a really, really fun fight night or a main card on a pay-per-view. But what do you think, brother? I mean, is that too bullish of a call out? Is someone like a maybe Amir at 3? Is that too much? What do you think is next for our boy Tagir here? The winner?
I mean, I think the worst thing for Amir Albazi, first and foremost, as always, great breakdown. Love having you back, brother. Amir Albazi isn't too bullish of a call out because I think his worst kind of flaw is the fact that he has suffered inactivity. Has Amir Albazi. I like that fight for Tagir. And there's also a couple of other names there. You know, like Asu Almabayev, I think, is a really, really solid call out. He does already have something slated, though. Another good one would be Manel Kopp if he's willing to fight down, right? He just came off of a fight, so you know he doesn't have anything scheduled quite yet. And if he's willing to fight backward, Kaya Sakura, big name, ex-champion from another promotion, gotta think that'd look good on a resume no matter what. So, again, if he's fighting back, give me that one. Shout out Lane in the chat. And shout out Western Mass Climber. Let's go. Oi, oi, oi.
Oi, oi, oi.
Let's go.
Oi.
Love it.
Oi.
So yeah, man, I really love this fight for Tagir. I thought it was a really, really solid showcase for him. And again, I don't think Clayton Carpenter really lost any steam or momentum in a literal loss. Oh man, now this next fight is one that I definitely am sad that Ricky lost, but I'm happy that he put in the fucking bout that he put in out here, man. Now, I obviously took down some notes during these fights. Not during the fights live, but I rewatched them at home and took some notes. So this fight was fireworks from the opening seconds to the final bell. Sopai opens with a nasty head kick that lands flush to the jaw of pretty Ricky Tercios. And I'll be honest, seemingly did absolutely nothing to him. The rest of the fight was a showcase of the power of Sopai versus the cardio and unrelenting forward pressure of pretty Ricky Tercios. Ricky was able to eat knees, kicks, shoulders, heads, knees, and toes, my friend. Like, just, and kept moving forward, did Ricky Tercios. The dude seemed like a T-9000. He was just a Terminator on a mission, but I digress. Sopai was throwing power into everything. And, you know, you could tell some of those shots were definitely not feeling too good for Ricky, but at the same time, either he's got some of the best resilience you'll ever see, or he has the best poker face you've ever seen. Because the man had this dude scared. He was breathing huge breaths in that second and third round. Looked like he was just grasping for air. And you got to think he was asking his coaches in between rounds, like, what is it going to take? I'm hitting him with everything but a cylinder made of concrete, and he is not going down. Like, do you guys have some brass knuckles back there? What do I need? And I think John Anik summed it up better than I could. He said, this is a reality check for if you think your cardio is good. Like, going up against Ricky Tercios is a reality check for anybody who thinks that they have good cardio. Because he has ridiculous cardio. Like, almost like the man in the co-main event, who we'll talk about in some time. Nano, can you tell the people what you thought about this fight and kick me off this soapbox?
Well, you know, I'll join you on the soapbox. I think Bernardo definitely went out there. Both these fighters gave us a fun show. The striking differential and the action that we got for the full 15 minutes there, man. I was very and I was enjoying the fight. You know, although I was rooting for my boy Pretty Ricky, I was hoping to see some more prettiness in there. But when things really started to get ugly, he had a good pace throughout, had some control time, but Bernardo had an answer for all of his takedown defenses. Ricky was only able to land 1 out of 9, while Bernardo was able to land 2 out of 3 and get more control time than his opponent. I think those things, obviously knocking down Pretty Ricky as well, with some slick striking. Like this guy Bernardo, man, this Albanian's coming in, guns a-blazing. I can't even find him on Tapology Top 50, so I don't know where they think he is, but only can go up from here. If we're talking stocks, this guy's going to be flying to the moon pretty soon. Has all the skills, all the makings of a good athlete, has the poise, beat a name in a Pretty Ricky. Unfortunately, I'll have to do my shot for that. But yeah, I think in terms of what's next, I mean, a lot of exciting names. I mean, there's another guy on this card that also fought that had a really big win. Talking about a Muin Gafarov, potentially. They both just fought. Maybe they want to run him back in another 8 to 12 weeks. Both coming off wins. Someone in that range, I think, would be a great next step here for Bernardo. Looks great, man. I mean, Raul Rosas is sitting around. Gee wee wees. I don't know if that's too high, maybe too bullish there, but they do both have a win over Pretty Ricky. A little bit of MMA math there going on. All to say, I think highly Bernardo, and I certainly think we'll be talking about him sooner than later for years to come. Do look good out there. And Pretty Ricky, man, shake it off, baby. Keep it moving. He's a dog. Let's go.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Sopai, I don't really know what to do with him, to be completely honest with you. That fight did show that he if he's not able to put you away, he can get a little overzealous. I believe the biggest stat that I noticed when I was rewatching this fight this morning is I think it was about 2 rounds in, maybe a round and a half in. They basically popped up with a stat, and it showed the number of significant strikes that had landed at that point in time and how many strikes thrown throughout the fight by each fighter were considered significant or power strikes. 92% of the strikes that were thrown by Sopai at that point in time were power strikes. And like 48 of the strikes thrown by Ricky were power strikes. So again, you got to get with it with the power consumption and with the gas consumption there. So I think Sopai will actually take a lot from this. And I know usually you either win or you learn. I think he won and he'll learn a lot from this fight because he was pushed to his absolute brink in this fight as far as gas tank goes. You could tell he was tired. At the end of the first round, again, not something I noticed when watching it like live in the stadium, but something I noticed when I was watching it at home. He turns away from the camera and you can read his lips. He literally says, fuck, at the end of that round. Cause he's just like, fuck, man. Like, I just hit that guy with everything I had. And like, I head kicked him 3 times. I caught him flush with about 4 knees to the head. And he just like looked me in the eye and was like, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the fucking round.
Like, what's it going to take?
Like, the kitchen sink of this guy. What do I need? Seriously. So yeah, I think both guys will grow from this. I think both guys will learn from this. And it was a pretty Ricky fight, right? Like, I don't think the man is able and capable of being in a fight that is not super entertaining and a contender for fight of the night on whatever fight card he's on. So, yeah, absolutely lovely performance for both men. Great fight to witness live. One of the better decisions that you'll see in modern martial arts. So, loved it. Got a shot poured up for it. And to Pretty Ricky, onto better horizons and wins. And to Sopai, may you hopefully become Albania's first and only UFC champion. And to all of you, like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate you for being here. Raise one up with us. Cheers.
Salute. And shout out the Pretty Ricky band in early 2000s if you're an R&B fan like myself. On the hotline.
People come for the breakdowns. They stay for you singing.
Come on, baby. You know the vibes. Let's go.
All day, baby. All day. So, man. In this next fight, we had Rinya Nakamura coming in against Muin Gafarov in the bantamweight division, which is just a murderer's row right now, Nano. Like, bantamweight is just so stacked at this point in time. I feel like I've been taking steam and just leading this through this. So, Nano, go ahead and take the lead on this one. Tell the people how this one made you feel.
This one made me feel good, brother. I was really hyping up this fight to my brother-in-law, letting him know, hey, man, this guy Rinya, he's a strong name, repping Japanese, the Japan country, a long lineage of Japanese fighters. The Nakamura name, if you Google it, you'll come up with some really cool highlights. But the thing is, with the heavy favorite that he was, and me hyping up his skills, I mean, Muin said, hold my beer. I'm putting on for Tajikistan, and I'm letting y'all know who the real dog is. He came out there, absolute guns blazing. Really, what stood out to me, aside from the fur that he had on his body, which I'm a naked mole rat, so I'm saying I wish I had more bodily hair to be more manly. It's a compliment. Absolutely strong as nails, man. I mean, the combinations that he was landing on Rinya looked like they were paying dividends early and often. And then you want to add in on top of that some control time, being able to mix it up, going to the head, going to the body, equaling out with some leg kicks as well. Muin just really surprised me. And according to the judges, he didn't give up a single round. So flawless victory, as we like to say. And man, up and to the right for this guy, Muin. 20, over 20 wins now. And I think it really showed in that fight. And brother, you mentioned, man, this division, the bantamweights, my brother, full of killers, my brother. I mean, I already mentioned Muin would be potentially a good matchup for Bernardo, but if we even take a step up a little bit, I mean, we got a Daniel Soncora Marcos, another dude that's undefeated right now, another guy that I kind of forgot about, Taylor Double Impact Lapelis, freaking banger, is always in a good fight, coming off 2 wins this last year. The list goes on. I mean, there's so many murders on here. Adrian Yanez. I mean, come on. You put Muin in there with anybody. Vinicius, the Black Dog Oliveira, coming off a 4-fight win streak as well. I mean, I tell you, man, there's a lot of exciting names in this division. And Muin put himself right at the top because he stole some Mourinho's hype. And that's what happens here. Someone's coming in with a lot of hype train. You get to take that energy like Majin Buu style, get to go and eat them, turn them into a little piece of chocolate, keep them moving. And leveling up. So shout out to Muin Gafurov. I think he certainly deserves to be squared off with any of those guys I just mentioned and continue to make a name for himself. But what'd you think, brother? I hope I left a little meat on the bone, man. What'd you think about the call-outs? Anything else stood out to you on that fight? It was a banger.
Man. I thought this fight was absolute madness. Before the fight even started, I knew this fight was going to be nasty stuff, Nano, because these two guys locked eyes across the octagon from each other. And I noticed that obviously Nakamura had just this intensity on his face, and he's staring him down, just like watching him go back and forth. And Marine stopped, and he looks across the octagon at Nakamura, and I like, the only way I could think of to describe it, Nano, is that he just put on the biggest shit-eating grin. Like he got the script and Nakamura didn't. He's like, you think you're supposed to win today, but you have no fucking idea, dude. And then he came out there and he big brothered him. Like he bullied him. He put it on him to an extent. Obviously, it wasn't completely one-way traffic, but 73 to 39 total strikes landed. 1 knockdown to 0. And he made, an Olympic level wrestler here go nil on his takedown attempts. So, dude, you love to see it. Gaffarin looked absolutely mad out there in the best possible way. I like all the names that you said. I think there might be one name that I had written down that you didn't say. And maybe you did say it and I just blanked. But Ricky Simone, I think, would be another good one for the list.
I did not say that, but that is a great name. And that's exactly the type of caliber I think our boy Muin has certainly earned to square off with next. Ricky hasn't fought in a while. I mean, I'm sure he's itching to get back out there.
You would think so. You would definitely think so. And Lane, yeah, shout out, man. Yuri KO. We will definitely be going over that in great detail. And Juice Man, shout out Juice Man in the chat, my friend. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well, Juice Man 562.
Bringing the juice. Let's go.
Sav said, I lost my mind during the Yuri fight. So fun. Yeah, I believe most of the world did, hon.
Out of my seat for sure.
Watching Jamal get slept again gave me so much joy. Well, Lane, that's tough.
Lane, I didn't know you enjoy seeing the pain, man. I mean, it was definitely entertaining. And then seeing him after broke my heart a little bit. We'll dive into that later for sure. But what a sequence, man. What a fight. That one stole the show for sure. Poor Jamahal. Let's go for that.
Jamahal, I will go for that. I will go for that. Jamahal Hill. I will knock him out with, how you say, the hooks. I will knock him out with the hooks.
The hooks. I will go for that.
And then how you say, Popeye's chicken. I will go for that. After fight. Yeah, I mean, Jamahal, he does make it easy to hate on him with some of the things that he says and does. And again, we'll get into that in a little bit for sure. But I digress. We got to go over this next fight, and then we are through with the early prelims, and then we make our way right on into the actual prelims, folks. So the headliner of the early prelims was none other than Cara Rosa versus Eileen Perez. Nano, I'm going to take the lead on this one because, look, if you guys want the full breakdown on what happened, just go back and watch last week's episode. You can watch exactly what I said would happen in the breakdown. And that's exactly what did happen. Cara Rosa came in, was the better striker, had the opportunities to win this fight on the feet, was able to outland her opponent by about 40 strikes. I mean, 39 to be exact. But I digress. Eileen Perez, she landed the more significant strikes. And why do you think she landed the more significant strikes, Nano? Well, I will tell you. It's because she had top position for some of that fight. It makes a very, very big difference when you do have top position for your fight and when you are able to grapple. I think the biggest thing here is the fact that, her opponent was not able to shut down that grappling onslaught that she brought forth. And that's why Eileen Perez racked up 4 minutes and 15 seconds of control time. For those of you that are bad at math, in 5-minute rounds, that's almost a whole round of a 3-round fight of control time, which is where she landed a vast majority of those 62 significant strikes she did land. Look, until you start coming forward and out wrestling her like Stephanie Egger did back in 2022, the only person to beat her in the UFC, to my knowledge, probably not going to get a win on this chick. So I like Eileen Perez in just about any fight they put her in there against, outside of probably like the top 10, if I'm being real with you. But with that being said, do we have any names on the tip of our tongue for the young twerking artist herself?
What do you think? Do you got anyone?
I mean, there's always people that you could give her, right? If you want to give her somebody that's like actually, I don't know, someone that does make sense, I would say maybe like a Macy Chasson.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
She does have a bout scheduled right now against Ketlin Vieira. So maybe you give her the loser of Ketlin Vieira versus Macy Chasson.
I do like that a lot. I definitely think you're in the right neck of the woods. I do think that Eileen Perez, the twerking sensation, and the grappling guru as she's slowly becoming here, getting better each time. She's got that moxie. She's got the charisma. She's getting a lot of fanfare. She's now ranked 13th in the division. Why not? Why not throw her up there? I mean, even maybe a Norma Dumont can potentially be another good matchup for her. Amiro Brena Silva. Two tough girls. I
mean, when you say good matchup, I got to disagree with you. A logical matchup at where they are in their careers? Yes. I don't think that's good.
Not favorable.
I think Norma,
certainly not favorable.
Not favorable. I think Norma probably has the answer of that forward wrestling that I was talking about.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at this range. I mean, she just beat a Carol Rose at 9. So, yeah, maybe things will change once the rankings get updated. But I like what Eileen's doing. She's doing all things the right way. Perez nowhere near a sensation, in my opinion. Ooh, Lane bringing the pain and some heat. I like it, brother. I think the popularity aside, to your point, I was a little concerned going into this fight. I thought Carol Rosa with the leg strikes was going to be an issue. She landed 27 of them. But other than that, I mean, Eileen had an answer. She was returning with leg kicks of her own. She landed 23 in response. So I think I like that idea. At least she was going tit for tat. Like, hey, you're not going to beat me in any one facet of the game. Trying to keep up with her with the strikes as well. Both landing at like a 30% clip, maybe a little over 50% total strikes considered. But like you mentioned, brother, the control time. I mean, almost a third of the fight, you're in control of it. It's going to be hard to bet against you there. even if maybe that's not our most fan-friendly style, or maybe that's not Lane's, cup of tea. That's all good, man. I'm right there with you. But again, I do think you gotta put her up there now with the big dogs, right? I mean, again, a Mayra Bueno Silva, a Norma Dumont, like you mentioned, maybe the loser of those two, top contenders as well, and then make Chazon, or you said she's going up against, let's see, Vieira, another savage, and a lot of these girls have that ground game too. So it's when I start thinking of the chess matches that are going to be happening here, it's going to be fun. And Eileen put herself right in the mix of it. So shout out her, Cara Rosa. It's a tough loss, but I think she still showed some good signs there. Got to try to find an answer for the grappling. Other than that, though, man, it was a fun one, and I think Eileen's going to keep twerking her way up to the top, man. And I'll be here to see it. Man.
We'll all be watching. That's for sure. Yeah, man. I mean, this was just a fun fight, and obviously there were funner fights on the card, but there were less fun fights on the card too, folks. And that brings me to the next fight, a bout between Diego Ferreira versus Grant Dawson in the lightweight division. This was probably my least favorite fight on the card. 195 strikes landed just by Grant Dawson alone. 84 strikes landed by Diego Ferreira. It just really was the takedown show, right? 6 of 11 takedowns landed for Grant KGD Dawson, accumulating 10 minutes and 50 seconds of accumulated ground control time here. What are you supposed to do with that? Other than just watch a man suffocate another man like a fire blanket, like a wet blanket here. So, yeah, I mean, also if you look at kind of where most of the strikes that Grant Dawson landed these strikes from, the position he landed most of these strikes from, 53% of all the strikes he landed were in a grounded position. So, yeah, when you hear that, oh man, he landed 195 strikes in one fight, 15-minute fight, that seems incredible. But he was on top of him for 53% of those strikes. So over 100 of those strikes was just him on top, landing little like hammer fists and things like that, which, they accumulate, they do damage. But as Lane said, definitely underwhelming as far as the fight game goes and in comparison to the other things that were on this card. So with that being said, what do I think should be next for Grant KGD Dawson? Well, lightweight is absolutely stacked. It has been for some years now. But Grant Dawson is somebody that has, been trying to make a name for himself. And he's been doing pretty damn good in kind of bouncing right outside that top 15 range. I mean, there's a number of different places you can go with this one. I think two that really make sense, though, would be Benoit Saint-Denis or Jalen Turner. I don't know why I said it like Hinata Moicano. Jalen Turner. Jalen Turner, this guy. No, Jalen Turner.
Ooh, I like that, brother. I like that. And honestly, that was where I was going to kind of try to decide. I'm going to have to decipher here is step one is Grant Dawson. Is KGD ready to get back into the top 15? But before I do that, shout out S-Dog, MMA Talk. Damn, this man's back. Hey, man. MMAnomaly's going bad to bad. Bad to bad. That's what he does, man. That's ain't nothing to it but to do it. Shout out. Listen, man. KGD went out there, he took care of business. Not the sexiest bout. He went out there, he did what he does best. He wrestles, he ground and pounds, he chains, he's very technically sound. And going into this fight, my thought was, how is he not ranked? And then I look at the rankings, and I think I kind of answered my own question because I see a Joel Alvarez there who's a freak of nature. Jalen Turner as well. Both these guys are like 6'2", 250 when they're walking around the streets. I don't know how they make lightweight. So that scares me a little bit because although I can acknowledge, I think KGD certainly is deserving or should get another crack at the top 15. His best matchup maybe be a Benny St. Denis stylistically, but those other guys, man, I mean, they are dudes with some power. They're big, they're mean, and they won't let you sniff their crotch if you get in too close there, which is, what Grant's going to want to do. He's not going to want to get in a firefight with Joel or Jalen Turner, who are, again, both like 6 feet tall. all that to say, I think Denny is a good one. Or, because again, this division is stacked, brother. We were showing a little clip earlier of a smile killer, Mr. Fares ZM, potentially, or a Mr. Highlight Ludovic, Mr. Highlight Klein. Some really big names in this division, guys that are on win streaks, guys that maybe also deserve a crack at that top 15. So you got the boys covered up top. I'm gonna go down a step and say maybe he fights someone to get that crack at a top 15, or maybe a Ludovic or a Smile Killer coming off a big win as well. Those are my 2 cents. And it's the style. Again, I think if I would have seen an impressive knockout or maybe a little more violence from my boy KGD against a grizzled vet like Diego, would have made him the obvious choice. He would have been undeniable. But right now, not undeniable. I need to see a little bit more. You see a little bit more from KGD. That's my 2 cents. I'm sticking to it.
I'm not mad about it. I know you're mad about it.
I know
that. Oh man. Yeah. I wasn't supremely impressed either, so I wouldn't mind seeing him fight down. Speaking of someone I was not supremely impressed by in their performance, I was not impressed by your performance. Light heavyweight bout between Bogdan Guskov and Billy Elikana. Man. Billy Elikana was fighting up in weight, fighting on short notice, 5 days notice here. Stepped in on short notice against Bogdan Guskov and was piecing him up a little bit. He was landing big shots in this fight. And man, it makes me worried because Bogdan was originally slated to fight Johnny Walker. And I think Johnny Walker maybe would have done bad things to him. Just based on kind of what I saw. What do you think, Nano?
Yeah, I think this one definitely left some to be desired. I think I felt a little turned off by the matchup just because Billy Elikana didn't even make weight. I mean, he was underweight. He was 200 pounds. So when you're fighting a middleweight in there, I'm already, I guess, just a little turned off by it. I would have loved to see him fight someone else, honestly, or just a bigger name. How is there no one else ready to take this call? That surprised me. But all things considered, Billy went out there and he showed a lot of fucking guts, man. Shout out that Oos. Like, he went out and did his thing. He had some moments, but really Bogdan's just too big, too strong. And I mean, Billy kind of gave up. He gave up the choke. He was basically in TKO'd, which is fine. Yeah, like you said, brother, 5 days notice. You aren't even the same weight class. Like, anyone has a puncher's chance, but I don't think anybody besides his parents thought he was going to do anything in that fight. So for me, I mean, Bogdan, like, he does some good things, but I don't know what's next for him. Honestly, I mean, maybe like a Dominican Reyes, someone go in there and whoop his ass, let him know how it feels to fight a real light heavyweight. But the guys he's been fighting lately, just, I'm not impressed with the performance. And I don't want to be too pessimistic because I feel like I am. But that's where I'm at. I think Dominican Reyes is the guy. Or Johnny Walker. Maybe you run it back. Johnny can definitely put some damage on him. I just don't know how durable Johnny is these days. Whole blue labels. Yeesh.
That label's falling off. That label's falling off, kid.
It's a broken label. It's mislabeled.
It's broken label. Johnny Walker, broken label, limited release. Coming to a liquor store near you.
One of one.
One of one. The baddest under the sun. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not mad at those picks that you gave. I would say if there's anyone else I can kind of sprinkle on the top of that, you got to think Khalil Roundtree wants a gimme fight or a bounce back fight. Bogdan would love that step up. And I mean, if you want to see him fight somebody with real light heavyweight power, I mean, Khalil Roundtree might be that guy. And speaking of that guy, Nano plus Modelo equals a good show, brother.
You know what time it is.
All right. Good job, champ.
Let's go. Stay ready, baby. Yeah, man, I fucking love to see it. You love to see it. We all love to see it. Speaking of things we love to see, oh, man, this next fight, it was not one of them. Nano, let's go ahead and pour one up, man, for Fallen Soldier in the middleweight division.
Rough.
It was rough. It was tough. It was not the stuff. Zachary Reese cut the mullet, came out to a very, very epic walkout, nice country song. And I mean, just the crowd was into it, had the USA chants. I mean, they were like ready to start the USA before the fucking fight even started. They were just hold them in. And I digress. He just couldn't get it done for USA on Saturday over Azamat Bakoev because Azamat is just a real son of a bitch. 52 total strikes to 22. And honestly, I mean, I know it says that Azamat landed 52 strikes and that 21 of them were significant, but you got to pump those numbers up, kid, because, I mean, the opponent actually took one more significant strike than that. When the ref slammed the back of his head into the fucking mat, I mean, it was tough. That dude did just as much damage as the fighter. It was tough. It was tough, my friend. What's not tough is this shot that we're about to do for Zachary Reese, though. So, folks, if you're here, if you're just joining us, we're talking about UFC 311. We are halfway through the preliminary card, talking about Zachary Reese and how he got that piece from Azamat Bakoev. A peaceful little nap, and then unfortunately woke up angry to be in Los Angeles. Nano, cheers to you. Cheers to the viewers. We've got almost 20 of you guys in here already. But folks, we appreciate each and every one of you. If you're drinking, drink with us. If you're Osterberries and you're at work, take a sip of water, bud. We love you. Cheers.
Stay hydrated. Salute. Appreciate y'all. And that's also for Zach Reese's brain. My goodness. I mean, it's just when you go start crushing somebody and you make it public, this is what happens. Yeah, just get burned. Actually, I maybe shouldn't make that joke. Still thinking about your LA. Too soon. Dana White, too, insensitively. Fuck, that's just hilarious. I digress. Listen, Azamat is a beast. He absolutely destroyed Zach Reese. Didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. Everything about that was really rough for me to watch. I mean, I think part of it is you're hoping Zach can use some of that length and have an answer for the wrestling. None whatsoever. Azamat, big, strong, I mean, muscular, like popping out the gills. I mean, that trap and shoulder definition, my goodness, looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But the punches, I mean, put Zach's lights out immediately. And then the ref, man, it's a new ref. I didn't recognize him. And in my head, I'm like, okay, you're trying to protect the fighter by putting your forearm on his chest while he's knocked out, and you're landing on top of him. Why is there no support on the neck? Why are you not getting behind him? Like, you've seen other refs. That's all they care about. Like, one thing to separate him, but you're protecting homeboys back of the neck like a newborn infant, man. You got to really lay that out there. And that made it even tougher to watch, because on top of that, my freaking man crush Zach Reese is doing a freaking snow angel in the middle of the octagon for 5 minutes. It was brutal. Even my sister-in-law was like, is something? Is he? I'm like, no, he's not good. No, it was really bad, actually.
I'm glad you couldn't see the live feed, because it was worse. It was way worse. Let me tell you, my friend, he was on the ground. He was breathing like his arms were like going out against their will. His toes were curled up. And then when they did actually get him up to a stool, it looked like he was going to fall. Like, he almost fell backwards off the stool. And then the reason he wasn't standing next to the ref when they did the announcement, like, he couldn't stand. Like, they had to help him. He was leaning on two guys to get out of the fucking octagon. And like, it was tough. It was tough, bud.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, and his head hit twice, really. Like, it hit the initial impact and then it ricocheted back again. It's absolutely brutal. He's already knocked out. The aftermath, unfortunate. And none of that's Azamat's fault, obviously. It's kind of just, a bad sequence of events, and it's just the violent game we're talking about, so I don't want to sidetrack too much from Azamat's badass performance. I think that was just a side note that definitely was a little scary to see. But Azamat, man, I mean, this guy is a problem. He's extremely strong. He just one-way traffic. This guy's like a freaking downhill freight train. I'm curious. I don't have a name top of mind. This division is absolutely stacked. I think you get in there as soon as possible. I mean, there's a lot of names in that top 20, 25 that I'm looking at here. He makes sense to fight any of them. I mean, an Abbas Magomedov, if maybe he wants to take something overseas. But this dude's going to be a problem for anyone you put him in there with. But that kind of wrestling, that kind of strength, obviously we'll see if someone can challenge him on the feet a little bit more. But until then, this guy's an issue. And that's a big highlight to have on the reel. So Maybe someone like that though. Maybe maybe Paul Craig, someone in that kind of realm. If he's still in middleweight, I'm looking at Typology. I could be wrong. You have any names for Azamat, or is that kind of a good ballpark?
No, I think that's a really good ballpark. I think, like an Abus Magomedov would be a really good one. Kevin Holland, you can't think he can be a beggy or choosy, right, in the middleweight division right now, especially after kind of what he's been doing lately in that division. Other than that, it really depends on kind of what kind of fights you want to see. Like, do you want to see this guy fight strikers? Do you want to see him fight grapplers? Do you want to see him fight hybrid fighters? Another one that I think would be a really fun matchup would be Bruno Ferreira, the Hulk.
Oh, that's a great matchup. That's a perfect name. Dude that's been around. He has some wins in the UFC, equally strong. Has some of that ground jiu-jitsu game, but more so known for the power. That'd be a firework waiting to happen. That's a good one.
Yeah. I think someone gets hurt in that one, and it's not the fans. The fans will win that one for sure. Now, in this next one, we had one hell of a just showcasing. Not for the guy everyone thought it was going to be, though. We're talking about a bantamweight bout between Peyton Talbot and Raoni Barcelos. I'll go ahead and take the lead on this one, and I will kindly pass it to my boy Nano right after. So, first things first, 3 words for you folks. Hype train derailed, right? This is what happens when an up-and-coming kid fights a wily old veteran in the sport like Raoni Barcelos. Barcelos reminded people that he's a Brazilian national wrestling champion and, quite frankly, a Brazilian national treasure in the sport of mixed martial arts. Peyton's standing very, very tall and upright in this fight. He's standing with a tall Muay Thai almost style stance right in front of Raoni while fighting him. This obviously left way too many opportunities for a veteran grappler like Barcelos to sneak takedowns into the mix. And when that happened, he's not only able to rack up minutes of control time, but also does damage with the ground and pound and constantly is fishing for submissions while on top. Peyton did very, very well at defending the initial takedown of Barcelos. However, the chain wrestling is going to be something you hear me talk about multiple times tonight. Shout out y'all in the chat, my friend. I think the only guy that did good on his picks this week. So good for you, my friend. Glad to see you in the chat, bud. Look, he did really well defending the initial takedown, but chain wrestling is the name of the game. Raoni Barcelos shot 15 takedowns and he landed 8 of them. Why did he land them? Because when the single leg didn't work, he adjusted to a new side or he switched to a double entirely. Either way, he did what he needed to do and chained different styles of takedowns, different grappling formations together in order to get to the position he needed to get to and secure that top mount more often than not. Now, before I pass it to you, Nano, I'll end with this. From what I observed, this was just a massive, massive mistake in terms of game plan. Instead of the low kicks and the round kicks to the body that Peyton Talbot was throwing, he should have been utilizing straight shots, distancing shots like the jab, the cross, or teep and push kicks, maybe even stepping side kicks and then blasting out of distance, right? Using those types of things to keep Barcelos away would have made a lot of sense, and it would have kept him away from that takedown range or the danger zone, right? Now, I could be correct. It could have been a very poor game plan, or Peyton's young and he's fairly arrogant, right? It could have simply been an overconfidence in his own Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills. And when you think you're going in there against another grappler, another Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu style grappler, and you don't realize he's a national wrestler as well, it's going to add a lot of different layers that you're not expecting to be there. But that's exactly what we saw take place. So there we go, my friend. There we go. Peyton Talbot got just showcased on by the wily veteran Raoni Barcelos. And I think most people were shocked. But again, if you go back and you watch last week's episode, you will see that we said this is a firm possibility when you're going in there against somebody like Raoni Barcelos. Nano, tell the people what's up.
Bro, I can't think of a larger upset from the betting perspective, like from an odds perspective. I mean, Peyton Talbot was minus 1,300, minus 1,000 in most sports books. If you're sitting here in the comments and you said, hey, I had Raoni the whole way, y'all are tripping. you tripping. Ain't nobody was thinking that. Okay, maybe you're hedging it, which is fair. That means you're a true degenerate like us. But the reality is, man, and we kind of insinuated to it a little bit. Hey, we haven't seen Peyton fully challenged, and we knew Raoni Barcelos is just a tough son of a gun. He is just a fucking backyard junk dog as we know it. And you know the dog's barking in the backyard, baby. The thing is, I think two takeaways from this junkyard dog here in Raoni. I think what happened here is, you mentioned it, bro. Peyton was cocky. Because he just conceded. That's like the one word that keeps coming top of mind is Payne conceded every single takedown. He tries to posture up, or he's just sitting there and you see him looking up at the clock, trying to figure out how long do I need to stay here. At no point was there like an explosive kind of roll or something to get right out of it. Like, and you would think you would have an answer, but to your point, I think might have been just a lack of game planning, maybe not developing those tools. And frankly, like, I mean, it's easy to get tired when you got someone on you like that and you're used to just going in, knocking dudes out. I mean, I don't know how long Payne's fight time is, but how many times has he seen a third round? I don't even, maybe once or twice. Like, that's all part of it. We were kind of saying, hey, how many hype trains have less than 10 octagon like fights, that much experience? Well, we saw what happens. Like, Raoni went out there and just dog walked him. I mean, I was like saying, I was like, it looks like your drunk uncle that is beating up the teenage nephew that thinks he's a man now, but it's like, no, it's not a nephew. I'm gonna show you what's up. I still got a little something in me now. I mean, this old dog can still teach you some tricks, young buck. And that's exactly what happened, brother. Payne got gassed out. Like you said, he starts throwing looping shots, just hoping for a Hail Mary, but Raoni's not. I mean, he's been knocked out, but it was different. I mean, Saeed is explosive and has that power in the 5th round, so that's a little different. But once I saw Payne was lackadaisical, flat-footed, trying to just walk into the range, I was like, it's over. It's over. I could not believe it, man. That was shocking. I mean, literally, I think one of the biggest upsets I can remember since we've been covering this the last 3 years, since I've been watching it, 10 plus. I mean, maybe Juliana Pena, but I don't even think she was a minus, plus 700 favorite. That's, I guess, Strickland maybe for that championship fight. I mean, this does not happen, y'all. This does not happen. But it did, right? And again, I think Raoni has to steal all that hype that Payton was going to get. I think you got to throw him back in there, potentially in the top 15. Maybe like a Marcus Maniac McGee. He's sitting there at that like 14, 15 spot. Maybe he wouldn't mind taking a clash with an older vet. Even someone else, just because I want to see this guy win. And I think he'd answer the bell for anybody. And I think you actually got to meet my boy, Marlon Chito Vera, my Ecuadorian brother. I mean, both their names, I think you got to give Raoni the nod. Payton was going to get the crack. Give it to Raoni and see what happens. Payton, back to the drawing board. And that's all it is. I mean, he gave up. In my opinion, he gave up after that first takedown.
He did. I completely agree. He conceded the takedown, and he just again, he was overconfident in his own Brazilian jiu-jitsu and was like, I can submit him from here. I'll be fine here. This is cool. This is fine. But no, I digress. Like, it's just a no. It's a hard no from me. What's next for Raoni Barcelos? I mean, I'll tell you one of my favorite Raoni Barcelos fights I've ever seen that I'd love to see run back. Him and Victor Henry. And he lost that one, so he wouldn't mind getting that one back.
That'd be fun.
I mean, sign me up for that. Like, that's a fucking barn burner, in my opinion.
That's what he does. He burns the barn, man. This guy Raoni is a dog. That's why he got the call, and that's why he got the win.
Speaking of burning the barn, I got something else for you that I think you might like. Peyton Talbot. I got 2 names on the tip of my tongue for him. Right, you gotta want to build him up. You gotta want to shine, like, re-shine the star there to an extent. Here's the thing. I think if you want to give him another grappling test, there's only one kid you can put him up against, and I do mean kid. You know what I'm saying? I think Raul Rosas Jr., they're just a couple of rankings apart now on Tapology, so it makes sense. And then the other name that I have is one that I'm even more excited about if it could happen. I mean, I'm salivating over here thinking about it. I'm about to just have to wipe up a little drool spot here, but a fight that would truly make me scream out loud would probably be dangerous Davy Grant versus Peyton Talbot.
That's dangerous. I like it, though. I like it.
You want to see a striker fight for him. You want to give him a fight that is, quote unquote, winnable, but against a still noteworthy name. Give him my guy.
I like it. The other one I have here for our boy Payne Talbot as well, and I think partially to give our other boy a nod. Give this man some wind, give this man some air. I'm talking about a Charles Air Jourdain, baby. Come on. He's always answering that bell. And he's got some good ground game, but he's also willing to go out there and swing and bang with you. So he might be willing to give him the work. I like that. I like my boy Charles.
I like
your pick too, brother. I think we're in the right. I think we're in the right neck of the woods here. Different campsite, same neck of the woods, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh man, Kick Him in the Head MMA podcast. Make sure you go and drop a follow for those guys. Hayoni isn't top 15. Talbot capitulated it and gave up.
Capitulated. Great word.
Capitulated and gave up. That's a big word. Broke my head a little bit. No, he definitely gave up. And again, I truly think that he was hoping or thinking that he would just go out there and truly walk through this guy. And when that didn't happen, he's like, all right, well, that's I guess that's that. I'll go ahead and call it a rapperoni there. But yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, and I think, kick him in the head here. I agree with you. I'm not sitting here saying Hayoni's the number 15th best, bantamweight on the planet, but you got to kind of use a little bit of context clues here. And if Peyton was going to get the nod, he was going to go find the top 15. I guess the question I'm posing here is, don't you think Hayoni should get that same nod? I beat your guy.
I do.
Now I
do think that.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I think he at least probably gets in that range because that's what Payne was going to do. So you give him the nod, maybe tournament style in a way, get to move on.
Like Thanos, he took your Infinity Stone, brother. He's got the Power Stone now.
He's got the power. I got the power.
Oh, man. Speaking of someone who's got the power, it is not Kevin Holland in the middleweight division. We have to talk about a fight that I really don't want to talk about, but, as our guy says, without further ado.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time!
There we go. Wrong Bruce, right time. It is time, folks. Time to go over the main card. And what a main card it was. UFC 311, again, the prelims, the early prelims, every single fight, except for Grant Dawson, delivered fireworks. This one was no different. The fireworks were just on the wrong side and a bit one-sided. So Kevin Holland coming in against Renier de Ridder. Kevin Holland outlanded him on total strikes. He outlanded him in total strikes by 1. And he only got outlanded in significant strikes by 1. But that's not what this game is about. It's not just a punchy, kicky game. We're talking about the game of mixed martial arts. There's also submissions in here, folks, where people could choke you out or get your arm and snap that thing off. But this one was very, very interesting, wasn't it? Because our guy Kevin, he came into this week just doing everything seemingly in his power to lose fans. He went on the Jackson podcast and just picked fight after fight with Quentin Rampage Jackson, trash talking him the entire time, and also saying multiple times, dude, I don't understand.
That's so weird. Why is he going after him? I thought that was so weird.
It's all because he talked about how bad Kevin Holland looked in that MVP fight. But hey, bro, look, if Nano shit his pants today, I'd probably bring it up a couple weeks from now and be like, bro, what happened? You really shit your pants the other day, huh? Because he literally did that. We watched Kevin Holland shit his pants in the octagon, essentially, against MVP. That happened. You can't get mad that Quentin Rampage Jackson was asked about that fight on his show, and he's like, yeah, he shit his pants. He's calling a fucking spade, kid. Just take the loss on the chin.
Yeah, and it's another fighter. It's a legend. It's an OG. I'm sure, maybe there's a methodical way to break it down. You were doing these things wrong. It's like, no, you shit a brick in the octagon. You didn't have an answer. You looked like a fish out of water. I don't know if I would tell Big Mouth that to his face. I respect him, and I would probably tell him, you're one of my favorite fighters. Yeah, that wasn't your best night. Maybe I would say that was your best night. But to go after Rampage, come on, my boy. I don't love to see that. Focus
and you're doing
on
it on his podcast, bro. Like, don't go after the dude in his backyard, bro. Like, what are you doing? Like, if I invite you over for dinner and you think I'm a piece of shit, don't come over for dinner, bro. Maybe just be like, hey, I actually think you're a piece of shit. I'm good. I don't need to come over for dinner. Don't come over for dinner and then, like, just call me a piece of shit in my own house for an hour.
Yeah, hash it out. Maybe you take it offline. Hey, I didn't like what you said. That's fine, too. Hey, I think you're wrong. Okay, that's cool. If you can move past it, keep moving. Yeah, that's fine. We can agree to disagree. Yeah, a lot of bad moves. A lot of bad moves from Big Mouth Kevin Holland here. Then I don't know if he mentioned somewhere else press conference he didn't care or was just like, yeah.
He said it in that same podcast. I don't care about it. He said, yeah, I'd fight you right now. I don't even care about my fight this weekend.
Oh my God. That was obvious.
It was obvious. Again, I mean, DeRitter circled in for a takedown within the first 10 seconds. Instead of Kevin Holland even working to get back to his feet, he starts attempting strikes from the bottom, as well as trying to attack arms from the bottom. I think getting a knockout from the bottom against Jacare Souza those years ago might have been the worst thing to ever happen to him. It's like when a grappler gets a one-shot knockout, like a Tyron Woodley. They forget what got him to the dance. They forget how good of a collegiate wrestler they were. And they fall in love with that knockout to the point of wanting to replicate it over and over again. And that makes them get set up to get hit and to lose fights. There were multiple opportunities for Holland to butterfly and get up out of this position that he was in. DeRitter actually made some decent level mistakes while he was on top that would have allowed Kevin Holland to transition out of here. And instead of going for butterflies, he grabs an ankle and tries to shoot up kicks at DeRitter. I didn't understand the game plan at all, other than exactly what he said, that he didn't care. I mean, the second Holland did actually try to pass and start to get up, DeRitter attached himself to the back of Kevin Holland like a piece of duct tape with a sign on it that said, kick me, that you just can't reach to get off. And I mean, within moments, he's submitting him. He's just wrapping up a rear naked choke. And the last 3 lines that I have written down in my notes say this: DeRitter said all week that he would submit Kevin Holland early in this fight. Kevin Holland said all week that he didn't even care about this fight. And it turns out both men were telling the truth, folks. So here we are. Kevin Holland lost a fan in me this week before the fight even started. I only wish I would have seen the Jackson podcast before I placed my bets on Kevin Holland. As I pour up this shot, Nano, tell the people how sad Kevin Holland's performance truly made you feel.
Yeah, definitely disappointed. I don't know how sad I would be as much as just disappointed, because I think it was a little to be expected. And you just wish you would have saw a little bit more of a fighting effort from Kevin. I know he put up some shots and, like you mentioned, tried to do what he could from those compromised positions, but you want to try to get in front of that. You know what the man's going to try to do. Maybe you come out with some leg kicks, or you just say, F it, I'm just going to throw the kitchen sink at you, run across the octagon, do something crazy. Like, I think that's why we appreciate Big Mouth, is you kind of expect the unexpected. But as of late, it just feels like once he knows he gets matched up with someone that is a better grappler, a better jiu-jitsu artist than him, he just shuts down. Started with Kamzat, which isn't necessarily his fault. RDR and MVP. It just feels like he kind of shuts down. It reminds me, honestly, of myself as a young baseball player. Emotional, passionate. You strike out, you throw your helmet, now you're butthurt, and you're just like a neg bomb, a negative energy on the team. You don't want that kind of stuff. It's immature. It takes away, and unfortunately, I think that's some of the things we're seeing here from Big Mouth. Just not completely dialed in. Far away from the man that came in and fought 5 times in 2020 and was just trying to knock everybody out and talking the talk, walking the walk. Oster Bears here in the chat. How bad is Holland's ground game? It's as bad as taxes. It's as bad as a stale beer. It's as bad as a Dutch oven crusty fart. It's as bad as a hangover. It's bad news, Bears. I ran out of bad things there. All to say, man, I think with Big Mouth, just, I don't know. We're gonna start seeing boxing events in the Apex. Maybe put him on a boxing card. Just get him in there. That's gonna with someone that wants to fight with their hands and their feet and not go on the ground. Kevin Holland should not be matched up against any more jiu-jitsu guys, against any more Dagestanis. Nobody. Just give him just meat and potatoes, created UFC guy off the block, okay? We want to see Kevin Holland get back out there. Already are. Different story. I would love to see him get matched up against a true grappling or jiu-jitsu specialist. I think you know where I'm going. I think I want to see a Jack Hermanson, but where's he at? I gotcha, man.
You know it was going to be the Joker. Come on, bro. It has to be the Joker.
He hasn't fought since February, so I was trying to do some research, like what's going on. Apparently, Azamat called him out as well. What's the status? Is he doing grappling events? He's 36. Is he just needing to be motivated? At some point, you gotta either you gotta shit or get off the pot, right?
This is a fact, man. This is a fact. You gotta shit or get off the pot. I love that saying. And I think it's definitely time for him to shit or get off the pot. And I truly think that would be just a wild west matchup of a Brazilian jiu-jitsu bout. So, I mean, give me that one. Sign me up for it. Inject it into my fucking veins. I think Jack probably does things to De Ridder, though. The same way that he did to Joe Pyfer. I just think he's the wily veteran, right? But to answer your question, I don't think he's doing grappling tournaments and things like that. I know he did some side quests and grappling and stuff, but he's not staying active. I think maybe he's just nursing some old wounds, letting the body heal up and waiting for a call that does make sense. Fighting a former champion from, 1FC? I don't think that's terrible. So there are worse calls to get than to fight Ranier De Ridder if your name is Jack the Joker Hermanson. So with that being said, we do this shot and then move on into the next fight. Oh, man. Luckily, we only have one more to do after this because we got the rest of them right.
Damn straight.
And the one that I got wrong, well, there were things that happened. We'll talk about it. So cheers, folks, to you, to us, to everybody on the podcast. We appreciate you being here. And if you do, raise one up with us. If you don't, then take a sip of water. We appreciate you, folks. Cheers.
Let's go. Salud. Appreciate y'all. Let us know how you're feeling about this main card, too. Give us some emojis. Let us know what's exciting you. This next one's a big one. This was a fun card, y'all. This is a fun way to kickstart the UFCs here for 2025. I can't wait, man.
Yeah, man. This whole fight card from top to bottom was just nasty good stuff. And this one really delivered. A heavyweight bout between Jailton Almeida and Sergey Spivak. I truly thought that this was going to go at least a round and a half. I decided to get up to grab a drink during this one, and it was a mistake. It was a mistake, man. The fight didn't go even a full round. Sergey did everything right for the first 2 minutes. He makes one mistake, doesn't address the underhook of Almeida, and in the blink of an eye, Almeida is in full mount, just raining down shots. I went back and watched that exchange of sweep 3 times, and I still really don't understand how Jailton Almeida got up so easily. He was just graduated from the school of Derek Lewis and said, I don't think I want to be underneath you anymore. I think I'll get up, man. And so he got up. He did that. And then again, in the blink of an eye, another reversal of positions happened. Spivak is now on top. This fight was exciting as hell for the one round that it did last. Jailton got Sergey in trouble on the feet, lands a quick uppercut that begins a barrage of punches. Then he gets Spivak to the ground, flattens him out, belly down, and starts just raining hooks to the side of the head until Jason Herzog is ultimately forced to stop the action with just 7 seconds left to go, man. Tough to see if you're a Sergey Spivak fan, but man, if you're a fan of the man Jailton and Almeida, you were a happy guy. And if you bet on him, you cashed, you're a happy guy. Nano, tell me what your thoughts were on this fight. Did you see it going longer than a round?
I felt, honestly, No, especially if I thought Jalton was going to win. I assumed he was going to have to get it done in that first round. I thought the longer it was going to go, the worse it was maybe going for Jalton. I don't know how much stamina he really has. He's a short distance fighter here. And with the Sergey Spivak, the polar bear, I mean, just like true polar bear fashion, they get better with time. And if you just are getting more and more wounded, he's going to smell that blood in the water there. But no, this was a fun fight for as long as it lasted. Getting up with 10 seconds left. Maybe you thought you were good. You hear the bell. Oh, go get a head start. No, 7 seconds left. Still not enough. And that's the beautiful thing here with these big boys, and most specifically a Jalton Almeida. All it takes is one. All it takes is one. That's why a lot of these times these guys don't even fight that long. I mean, Tommy Aspinall fights shorter than I take a piss after maybe 12 beers or something. But all to say, Jalton's a stud, man. I think he's ready. He's poised to take that next step up. And there's really one guy that I feel is the true litmus test in the heavyweight division. Kind of got screwed in his last fight. And I was actually going through all of his fights. And this man has basically fought every relevant heavyweight this millennia. I mean, this guy fought Big Country back in 2017. I'm talking about Roy Nelson, y'all. If you know, you know. Stefan Skyscraper Struve. Come on, man. Fabrician Verdum. We got names. Hot balls. Derek Lewis. I'm talking about the one, the only Alexander Volkov. Give me Drago against Jalton. What better way? What better litmus test for someone that's been in there with the who's, the current champ Tom Aspinall, a Cyril Gahn, who again, questionable, might have won, might not have. Judges thought otherwise. I thought otherwise. But that's the matchup to make, man. I think that's the matchup to make. He gets through a challenge in Volkov. Jalton's right there, knocking on that contender's door. What do you think, brother? Anyone else stick out to you, or is that the obvious choice here for our boy Jalton?
I think that's definitely the obvious choice here for Jalton Almeida. Other than that, I mean, the only other name that really comes to mind is Cyril Gana. I think he didn't deserve that win that he just got over Volkov, so maybe you make him fight down and fight a Jalton Almeida who will probably put that grappling work on him and put that man to work very, very long. I think that's the only place you can go with him. He's proven that he is the best heavyweight in the world outside of probably Tom Aspinall and John Jones right now. And he could very well be the man. He could very well be the guy. Osterberry's got a bounce, shift hand over time. Big ups to the panel. Big up, Olin. Big ups to you, Osterberries. Always appreciate having you in the chat. Always appreciate your insight and takes. And hope you have a great rest of the shift, my friend. Enjoy your night at work. Shout out Tico Tech LLC in the chat, my friend. Always love seeing here. I always love seeing you here, my guy. Jesus Christ, I can't speak tonight. I can't speak.
So excited.
And with that being said, we only have 3 fights left, folks. Yuri Prokaska versus Jamahal Hill in the light heavyweight division, folks. This was an incredible fight. I want to take the lead. I want to start everything off, but instead, I'm going to pass it off to my co-host. Why? Because I will go for that.
I will go for that too. Thank you, brother. This was a fun fight, man. This was the obvious fight of the night for me. One that I had a lot of hype going into because I wanted to see who was next, right? Can Yuri answer the bell? Is John Mahal all talk or not? And we found out a lot this past Saturday, I should say. Yuri, man, I mean, coming in, how do you not root for the guy, right? And then he's bringing, one of his fans, a cancer patient. He's shaved his head in solidarity. How do you not want to root for the guy, man? I love it. And then the hands thing, right? I think Izzy Adesanya had a good little video on his channel because for whatever reason, and I thought it was funny too watching it live, but Yuri's sitting there and you see him kind of like, oh yeah, my hands. And he keep my hands up and he kind of just puts them up and then they almost like start to rest. And next thing you know, it's this kind of little zesty kind of look. And he's just sitting there kind of posed up, a little smirk. And it was so funny. And I know like in his head, he's like, oh, hands up. I go for that. Oh man, so many great moments. That just cracked me up so much. And then on top of that, man, he goes out there And Joe said it like right when I was thinking it, but his head movement was on point. I mean, some days you're seeing it, right? It's like I don't know what it was, but it was all things were working for Yuri. Like the punches were slow, and maybe that's John Mahal, right? A little different than Alex Bejeda going out there and throwing haymakers at you. So I think the speed was obvious. Yuri's head movement was as good as it can get. I mean, probably some of the best movement I've seen from him, and Joe mentioned that as well. Good defense. And again, man, with him, like when he's so clean like that and you just wait for your opponent to overextend, I mean, that counter right hand, the left to drop him, like everything that Yuri did throughout the fight, man, was just chef's kiss, absolute textbook, fundamentals, IQ, and then the power there late in the third round to get the finish. Like, absolutely love it. Yuri's the man. I mean, again, I've said it before. If Alex Bejeda was, back on Mars because he's a Martian and he didn't live on this planet Earth, Yuri would be the guy right now. Unfortunately, that's not the reality we live in. And he even was hesitant in calling him out, but he's like, oh, man, I got to go for that. I need a third one with Alex Chama. I go for that.
Fuck, man, I want that third fight.
I need it. Like, he was so like, I have to. I mean, there's no other way I have to have it. I loved it. It was very, very genuine, very vulnerable. Like, God, and like, that's just like passion inside of it. It's burning him inside. It's eating him alive. He needs that back. And I hope he gets it, man. I hope he gets it. That's my 2 cents. I love Yuri. John Mahal, tough sledding. Seeing him after the fight, he's crumbling in the hallway. He's on the verge of tears. I mean, it's emotional. It's okay if he's crying. I don't think he was, but it's all good with me. Hate to see it. These guys put everything out there, and Yarnoy's the winner. It's not how life goes. Valuable lessons can be learned. I hope he bounces back. But Yuri's the man, and Yuri's going to continue to be the man. Hopefully he gets that shot. I mean, we do now. I think I don't know if it's official. Is Magomed and Alex on a collision course? Is that official now? I guess finally.
It's official.
And his words were crazy. Honestly, that made me a little mad if that's truly what Magomed said, saying he wants to send Alex back to like a tire shop or something like that. I'm like, dude, that's not the guy to say that to, but I'm not in his camp. I'm not advising him.
I understand.
But back to you, brother. I mean, man, what stood out to you here with Yuri's performance? Do you have anything next for this one, man? I mean, I want to hear all things. I know you got a lot of notes, so I'm gonna take a step back here and enjoy my Modelo while I become a fan. Talk to us, brother.
Well, before I jump into my breakdown, as Tico Tech LLC said, Ali said that. Let's be honest. Ali runs most of their Twitter accounts, and he tweets most of those things. So you're not wrong, my friend. So let me jump into the notes. I took these notes down on my rewatch today. So let's see what I typed in the moment. Jamal opens with a few leg kicks and then starts going up top. He looks really good in the opening minutes of this fight, landing the far better and far bigger shots on Yuri. At about the 2.5 minute mark into round one, it's almost as if Yuri has downloaded all the data needed and he begins to switch modes into offensive mode. Not only finding his timing, but also finding his range. He drops Hill coming in with a quick left-hand pullback. The nose of Hill is busted already, leaking blood from the outside and the inside, causing him to breathe from his mouth heavily. Hill is still in this fight, however, even after getting dropped. He snaps back to his feet instantaneously and begins landing equally as dangerous shots until the round ends on Yuri. Round two, Jamal is landing straight shots and pushing forward. While pushing forward, he walks himself into a flying knee, the unpredictability of Yuri Perkasa, proving again to be a threat. The back and forth exchanges continue, and then Jamal gets poked in the eye. And shortly after, Yuri gets poked in the eye. And with all due respect, that Yuri poke to the eye was a bit of double penetration, right, folks? The doctor comes into the octagon and asks Yuri, "Are you okay? Can you see?" To which Yuri responds, "I'm fine. I am okay." The doctor then repeats, "But can you see?" To which Yuri responds, "I am fine. But can you see, though? I am okay." I don't think at any point in time he ever said that he can see. The fight continues. As soon as the fight actually continues, with 2 minutes left, Yuri gets into a flow state. Head movement looking better than ever before for this young man. Absolutely on point. Engine firing on all cylinders. pulling right out of range and landing his own shots where they count. Jamal eats a teep kick and then lands a huge body shot with less than a minute in round number 2. Yuri shaking his head, seemingly mouthing out loud to himself, "That's fine," as he eats a knee to the body from Jamal Hill. Again, basically trying to will himself into being fine. "That's okay. That's fine." As he's eating big body shots to the liver that you can noticeably tell are hurting him. Going into the third and final round, it is seemingly 1-1 in my book. The action is back and forth with Yuri landing big shots to the head and Jamal landing the bigger body shots. And some really nice headshots of his own, if we're being completely honest here. Ultimately, however, it ends in Jamal throwing power shots, Yuri pulling his head just out of range off that center line and landing a huge pull and counter shot, followed by ground and pound to get the stoppage. He does a pull, left hook, right hook follow-up, and then just jumps on top of his opponent to force the referee to come in there and stop the action. Just absolutely nasty stuff. Miss Mary said, "Throw Yuri on the front cover of this book with some long hair and I'm buying it." Dude, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, Yuri is an absolute beast. I absolutely love watching this guy fight. And anytime he's on a pay-per-view, you know you're getting my money because I will go for that. I will go for that. I mean, hell, if there's a fight card and it's in America and I have friends that are down to go, call me Yuri Prokaska myself, friend. Why? Because I am coming. I love watching this dude fight. And this was no different. This was one of my favorite fights I've ever seen live in attendance. And the sounds of Yuri's fist connecting to this young man's body were something absolutely special. Right? Because it's just hide on chest, nasty stuff. Yeah. I mean, I think it was Mark Goddard that said recently, hearing Alex Pereira hit sounds ungodly. It sounds unhuman. Being in attendance for a Yuri fight, I got to tell you, that's what I felt. That's the vibe I got. It felt very, very just ungodly, man.
That's crazy. You do feel it. I mean, and there's some lulls in that arena too. People don't realize, like, obviously there's the big moments, but you could probably hear a pin drop for the most part, unless things are ramping up. Oh, those shots hit different, brother. I'm so glad you're there live, man. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. What a card, too. And what a performance. I mean, to see that live, man, that's chef's kiss. That's all I can say. You nailed it, brother. Great notes, too, man. That was poetic in ways. I'm like, oh, you're painting the picture so well, man. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I was having a lot of fun watching that fight again, man. That is for damn sure. Now, as far as for what's next for this young man, we know Alex Pineda is fighting Magomed Ankalaev. Assuming he goes out there and beats Magomed Ankalaev, do you give him Yuri next? Or what do you think should be next for Yuri? Do you leave him on the shelf for that long?
If they fight in March, that's a couple months, I guess Yuri, unless hopefully avoided injuries or things like that. Not sure what's going on. But that could make sense. If you're Yuri, what else do you want to do, right? What else do you have to prove? I could look at the rankings. I'm sure he would answer the bell if that were to happen. But for right now, I mean, he is number 2. He just beat number 3. Number 1 contender's getting that shot. Yeah, you probably want the champ who, assuming that's Alex. But even if Alex loses, I'm sure he would just want to run that back with him. So I guess that can. But you're not going to not fight for the belt, right? So I don't know. That is tough, right? I think if I'm Yuri, I'm waiting. If I'm his camp, I'm saying, hey, they're going to fight in a month or 2. Just take a little time. You're a warrior. You're always ready. Stay ready. And then maybe you are the backup fighter or whatever. Get yourself in there. But you have nothing else to prove. You already beat 5. What else do you want to go down and do for the UFC? Like, you're right where you need to be. That's what I would tell him. But he's a samurai. He is a warrior, so he's going to answer the bell. That we do know.
He is a real samurai warrior. We know this. I mean, you give the man whatever he wants. Let him fight. Let him fight Alex if Alex is down to fight him. Otherwise, you got to put him against somebody that's a real phenom, right? assuming Carlos Ulberg wins his fight coming up on that next pay-per-view in Australia. I think that's a fun matchup too. Carlos Ulberg versus Yuri Prokaska. Maybe you do it in the Czech Republic, like another out-of-country card. Build that international fan base.
I mean, even his opponent there too, in Jan Blachowicz, certainly not somebody you want to look past by any means. So a Jan Yuri can be a really fun one as well. Ulberg, Yuri. I guess you could really even throw John Mahal in there as well. Again, if Yuri's like, hey, I'm just gonna wait. I'm the number one contender as of now because Magomed's fighting for the belt. Like I'm next up. Maybe you say, I'm gonna go ahead and punt that. Throw John Mahal in there. He has to get back in. He was supposed to fight Roundtree a while back. Khalil, that'd be a banger. But there's a lot you could do. Jamal's still in a good spot. That Ulberg Jan fight, I can't wait to break that one down with you, brother. That's gonna be big. But the light heavyweight division has some dudes, and it's been a while, man. So I'm all for it.
It's finally starting to grow. Finally starting to actually see some fruition in this one, man. I feel like it's been far too long in this light heavyweight division, man.
For real. Facts.
So with that being said, we'll move on into the bantamweight division for the co-main event, folks. That's right. The co-main event of the evening. Merab Dvalishvili coming in against Umar Nurmagomedov, a.k.a.
Umar Nurmagomedov, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right, folks. Remember the name. Joe didn't that night, but I digress. On this night, we had ourselves one hell of a fight. And before I pass it over to my undisputed pound-for-pound best co-host in the fucking world, Nano here, I gotta say, it was just a bad night simply for undefeated fighters, right? We had 3 O's that had to go. Come on, Nano. Talk to us about this fight.
Yeah, man. Some big upsets for sure. That should have been maybe the first indicator that something was going to happen here. And Merab, the machine, the true machine, went out there and got it done. Took care of business. It certainly didn't look that way to start. I thought Umar had those first 2 rounds in the bag, and I think all the other judges agreed with me there. But boy, did he start to fade. I don't think anybody thought we would see the day when Nurmagomedov ran out of fuel in the tank. And maybe that's what the machine's all about. And I'm not talking about Bear Crasher. I'm talking about Merab Dvalishvili here, okay? The true machine. I mean, absolutely bonkers cardio. The pace, everything about this fight was so fun. Back and forth. Honestly, I thought Umar won the third. I'm curious to hear your thoughts there. Maybe it was a little different live. I understand that Umar was slowing down in that round, but there was still takedowns being stuffed. He still might have even landed his own takedown. Like, he was looking competitive. He was starting to slow down with the punches, which comes to find out he broke his hand somewhere in that first or second round. I probably wouldn't throw as many punches either, which is unfortunate because I think if he would have just kept up a little bit with that pace, I mean, well, hindsight's always 20/20. But I honestly thought he won the third, and then in my head I'm like, oh man, Merab's like pouring on this fourth and fifth round. And I was talking to the brother-in-law, I'm like, it's going to be hard to judge. Like, it's not like these last 2 rounds are weighted more. It's not like 1.5x points or something. Like, true. I mean, I definitely agree that 4 and 5, Merab had the upper hand. He had more pace. He was applying more pressure. He was getting the takedowns. Started doing some of the cockiness, which I could live without, honestly. But I love a showman. I'm all for. That's fine. I thought Umar won. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, that third round, maybe I'll have to go back and watch it. I was a little surprised that there was a 49-46 in there even. 48-47 makes a little more sense to me. Especially when you just look at the numbers. I mean, they are virtually identical outside of some of the control time or the amount of takedowns, frankly, with our boy Merab. 7 for 30. Holy, I just saw that. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I honestly thought.
But if
Umar
you look at
won.
that on the flip side, I mean, 23 stuffed takedowns.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, and how do you not put that into the equation? I mean, Umar only got 2 out of 15 as well, so there was certainly stuffed takedowns both ways. There might have been a potential cage grab. I don't know if that was real or not because Merab still was able to stay up and point at Khabib and the boys. I thought Umar won, man. I'll stick to it. I think I'd have to rewatch it.
He had his knuckles closed.
Okay. And
we
maybe
had
Merab.
about a fucking 200-foot screen in front of us,
Nice.
showing it as
Yep.
well with the zoom.
They
in
do
on
have
it.
that
So
good. They do have that.
it was
good,
it was again the nicest venue I've ever seen. The screen in front of
Nice.
us was such a cool fucking setup.
That's sick. That's like one of the nicer screens or domes or whatever that kind of wraparound is. But yeah, brother, I was a little surprised to hear it. I guess again, it makes sense. I think when you use the eyeball test, like that third round is the one. I guess maybe I'm gonna punt to you. Your thoughts? Did you think Merab did enough there? Whether it's because of the pace or maybe a little bit of Umar not winning it for you. Talk to us, brother.
Yeah, man. I mean, great breakdown. Just high level stuff, bro. And this is exactly why I love having you on, because there are so many times where I come in here and I know that I have some bias, right? I know that I love all these Nurmagomedov folks and all these AKA fighters, and there again is bias because that's my favorite gym I've ever trained at, and it's where I trained for the longest. So I love these guys. I love seeing them win. I thought he won the fight, and I tried not to say anything out loud because I thought I'm being biased, and I know that I'll get my flack for it if I say it out loud. And then I came home and I watched it again, and I'm like, okay, I can see how they scored it for Merab. Objectively, but I still think Umar won. And so then I was like, okay, let me look at the stats. And so I looked at the round by round stats. So let's just break it down quickly, round by round here, folks. Round one, Merab Dvalishvili landed 21 total strikes to 18 total strikes of Umar. They each got exactly 2 seconds of control time on each other. 20 total significant strikes for Merab, 18 total significant strikes for Umar. In watching the fight live, I actually thought that round one was an Umar round. I thought he did enough to take that round just barely. But for stats perspective and for the sake of honesty and numbers and damage supposed to be the tail here, it's a wash. Give it to Merab. Let's go into round number 2, folks. Round number 2. 27 total strikes landed for Merab, 26 for Umar. 15 seconds of control time for Merab, 48 seconds for Umar. So 3 times the amount of control for Umar versus Merab. 1 total strike difference. Significant strikes, 20 for Merab, 25 for Umar. That's a clear-cut Umar round. More control, more significant strikes. We move forward. Round number 3. 25 total strikes for Merab, 25 total strikes for Umar. That's fucking even Stevens there. So if we break that down by accuracy, which is the way that you would go, 25 of 58 versus 25 of 51. Umar has the more accurate strikes there out of the same totality. 7 seconds of control time for Merab, 43 seconds of control time for Umar. Again, 5x what he got this time. Significant strikes, 21 for Merab, 22 for Umar. More accurate with his strikes, and he landed the more actual significant strikes in totality, and he had more than 5 times the number of actual control seconds there. And you got Tico Tech LLC in the chat saying, Umar's strikes were more effective even though the numbers are close. I completely agree with you. 1,000%, dude.
Yeah, he starts Merab, I think, in that first or second round, and not starts like totally wobbled him, but had him moving back and kind of got him to sit on it.
He was on wobbly legs. He was on wobbly legs. He did his knees extended against their will for a half second there. And then again, we continue round number 4. Okay. This is, in my opinion, the one round that Merab clearly won. 1 minute and 5 seconds of control time to 4 seconds of Umar. 48 total strikes for Merab, 26 for Umar. 36 significant strikes for Merab, 21 for Umar. That's a clear-cut Merab round. I'll give it to him. That's as clear-cut a Merab round as round 2 is for Umar Nurmagomedov, in my opinion. But again, I've still got Umar up 1 round. Right now, this makes it 2-2. Right? So now we go into the 5th round. And that's if I'm generous and give Merab that first round, which I don't think you have to do. Round number 5, final round. This is, again, a bit of an easier round to score for me. Merab gets 53 seconds of control time, going 2 for 12 on takedowns at a 16% accuracy clip here. That's fine. Under a minute of control time to the 0 seconds that Umar accumulated. I get it. 21 total strikes landed for Merab. 14 of them were considered significant. 18 of 18 total strikes for Umar, significant strikes. He outlanded him in totality. He outlanded him in significant strikes. And he stuffed 10 out of 12 of his takedowns. Like, I'm not here to cry robbery, but at the same time, I just want to understand why the judges scored it for him unanimously. I just don't understand how you unanimously gave it to him that way. And I do think if they have a rematch and Umar doesn't break his hand, it probably goes a bit different, man.
Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, I felt like he still did enough. I understand some of the cardio concerns and some of the fall off. But again, I mean, if you're nursing a broken hand, like, dude, your energy and brain capacity is not as much on the fight as much it is like just protecting yourself at that point. Man, it's unfortunate. I know these things happen. And even, Merab had his own fair share of having the shin injury or not being able to do things. I mean, he's just next level. I mean, his pace, everything about him, man, it's pretty relentless. He's getting to a point. I mean, he has the most takedowns in UFC history right now, and like I think the next active person might have like 30 takedowns less than him. I mean, he is like just on a whole nother fucking realm when it comes to that specific part of the game. Yeah, I mean, Umar, the good thing with him is he's 29, like maybe 30. I mean, he's still scratching the surface, even just from just athleticism, like from his just peak body like capabilities. I think he still has a little bit more in him. But Merab's a big boy. I mean, that was pretty obvious too. Umar looked a little bit smaller, stood his ground, but Merab's he's a son of a gun, man. I agree. I think Umar, they fight 10 times. I think he's winning maybe 6 or 7 of those times. Wasn't his night. Broken hand against the odds. But with all that said, I mean, I do got to drink my shot here because I thought Umar was going to get it done. Merab is, and still. So I'm going to drink for him because shout out Ray Longo and those boys. I like how him and Aljo are neighbors as well. I don't know if you saw that on the Embedded. I was like, that's one of my favorite scenes. Imagine, all that. No, he'll, and then he's like telling what I'm like, oh, he'll hear me. Like telling another, no, he'll come out. He'll come out.
He'll come out. He'll hear me.
That's
no.
Okay, the fight's out. I'm here.
Dude.
Yeah. So
honestly, those guys are so cool. Those guys are so cool. All the Longo guys were just so nice to each other, and we got to meet them all the night before, dude. Like it was a really cool situation.
Can we talk about that a little bit? I don't know if it's on the record, but
man. Yeah, let's do this shot. We'll talk.
Let's go, baby. Cheers to that. It's folks, no Funk Harbor rum, but it's still good.
It's no Funk Harbor, but we appreciate it all the same, and we appreciate you all the same. Like, comment, subscribe, smash the bell for notifications, folks. We appreciate you. Cheers.
Could be any of the world, be here with us.
So yeah, man, I get there to LA and hanging out with the boy Crossover, and I hit him up. We're like, hey, what should we do for dinner? And he basically said, I saw this place when we were leaving the arena. We go here. Looked pretty cool. I was like, cool. So we went there, and when we got there was like 2 people in line to be sat. Pretty nice place. And we're like, dude, do we need reservations? Did we make a mistake? Like, we might as well just go check and see. Worst case scenario, they say we can't get in without a reservation. We go somewhere else. We go. They sit us down pretty quick, like 5-10 minutes in. And I noticed like there's open tables, but there's like 20 or 30 people around the bar. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So I walk over and I take a peek around the corner, and Aljamain Sterling is behind the bar with a bottle of Funk Harbor rum, just pouring shots. And I'm like, what the fuck is that, Aljo?
Hold on. You're like, is that the Funk Master in the flesh?
I literally like, Aljo? And he's like, what's up, man? And yeah, they were just doing an event for New Amsterdam Vodka, like, because they're sponsored by them. And
okay, nice.
So it was all Longo and the boys. They were behind the bar, just hanging out. Chris Weidman poured me a shot, asked me if I was 21 at one point. Like, honestly, just super, super nice people, bro.
Dude, I mean, well, he announced his retirement. I don't know if that was the official, unofficial, but I saw a video. He literally announced his retirement. I'm like, dude, breaking news. Sick.
He did a cheers with all of us.
did the cheers, and then he was arm wrestling someone as well, right?
He arm wrestled someone on our table. Yeah. So yeah, this guy like randomly, he was pretty housed. This drunk kid. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna ask Chris Weidman if he'll arm wrestle me. And I'm like, that's a great idea. You should do that.
Yeah. I got it lined up. I'm waiting for this day.
And so he did. No, not Aljo. He's talking about Chris Weidman retired. Sorry, Jock Director.
Sorry.
So yeah, no, like so he asks him if he'll arm wrestle, and so I see Chris walking over, and I think he's just gonna walk upstairs to the upstairs area where they're doing like a meet and greet with Cheeto Vera, and instead he's like, "Hey man, I know this is like not cool, but can I use your table?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's actually really cool. You can definitely use my fucking table."
It's like the coolest thing that can be done. It's like super cool.
So like we like slide our drinks over, our like shots and stuff. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, this guy wants to arm wrestle me. And I'm like, that's what's up. So they arm wrestle right there on the table. And he's like, sorry again, man. I know that was like uncalled for. I know that's like super rude. And I'm like, it's not rude. It's not uncalled for. Now go do like 2 or 3 more shots of that Funk Harbor. And then if you come back, I'm down to go arm wrestle you as well. But you need to do a couple more shots first, brother.
Level the playing field a little bit.
So he laughed at that. And can we just talk the Funk Harbor rum? That's going to be the next bottle you watch me polish off way too fast on the show because so good, so sweet, and just so easy to drink, my friend.
I don't drink enough rum, man. I mean, obviously you think of, I think of the Malibus and different things like that, but some good Funk Harbor rum. I mean, I got a little collection behind me. I certainly need it. I'll save some room for that. Let's go, baby.
It's just like a classic spice rum. It's good, man. It's not bad at all.
No, you can't beat it, man. I mean, that's some good stuff. Summer's coming up.
Solid.
Little pina colada. Come on.
You like pina coladas. Give me Funk Harbor rum. Oh,
love it, man. What a time, dude.
It was a good time.
Talk about being in the right place at the right time, man.
And then Cheeto Vera walked in, too.
So that was unprecedented, or was he part of the event as well?
He was part of the event upstairs. Like they were doing like different events there. So he walked in, walked upstairs. He was super cool. And yeah, like Ray Longo was ready to go. He wanted to go back to the hotel and go to sleep. I definitely saw an exchange where he was like, I'm ready to go. And Chris was like, puts his arm around him. He's like, come on, we just got to be here for like another hour or two. We're going to have some fun. We can go upstairs, eat some dinner. You, me, Aljo, come on, let's go. It was a fun time. They're all just nice people, man. And Marab was there for a little bit too. He came like randomly downstairs. He looked terrible on the night before the fight. Like he looked sunken in, which is crazy because this was like 8-9 p.m. He should have already been rehydrated. I was really worried that he was going to come into that fight in like just malnourished condition, but I digress. I was wrong. And I mean, yeah, dude, they were really cool people. They were really nice people. And 10 out of 10 would recommend. Those dudes were just a class act.
I love it, brother. No, that's what it's all about, man. I mean, we talk about these guys and gals, and we see them on the TVs, but they're human, they're blood and flesh, just like all of us. And the fact that they're down to earth like that and willing to do some arm wrestling, I mean, that looked like a great time. Had to bring it up, man. Love it. That's why we do this. And shout out to Weidman. Shout out to Aljo. Shout out to Ray Longo and the boys. Shout out Marlon Cheeto Vera as well. That one would have really been exciting for me. I would have talked fashion with them. I would have got some pics. Tell them how I'm from Ecuador. It would have been a whole thing. But
I got a stare down with him, and I told him that the sound that his shin made on Dominic Cruz's dome was one of the most disturbing sounds I've heard in my entire life. Cage said. And that it was also one of the best knockouts I've ever seen live. And he literally said exactly that. He's like, "Oh, thank you, bro. That's really nice."
That's really nice. That's really sweet.
Like he just like super soft spoken. "Oh, thank you, bro. That's really nice of you to say." And he shook my hand, and then I got my little signed autograph poster. And I'm like, "Have a good night, Cheeto. Thanks."
That's so sick, dude. So sick.
Thanks for doing a stare down with me and making me feel tough. Oh man. So yeah, it was great getting to meet the boys. Shout out to Marab. Love seeing that dude win because he is a good dude. But I mean, I know you're a Sugar Sean guy, so maybe like earmuffs or take the headphones out here, Renato, but that's not the fight that anybody wants to see, kid. We got to see a rematch between Umar Nurmagomedov and Merab Dvalishvili. That's the fight to make, in my opinion.
How long does Umar need for the hand surgery?
I mean, I don't know, but it sounds like Merab could probably use some time off to nurse some stuff too.
His shin and everything else, his back,
He said,
whatever else.
he said he broke his fucking back in camp.
Casually. Speaking of broken
Spinal.
backs, yeah, dude, all this back talk. He's putting the whole team on his back. Yeah, I mean, you're right though. I mean, Sean, I think he can stay busy fighting a Piotr again, or of course Sandhagen. That's one us fans have been dying for years. I don't know why that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, inject that into my veins.
Yeah, Merab said he's willing to fight anyone and everyone, but there's not a true number one contender right now. And I mean, dude, he's beat everybody. He's beat everybody. Like his list is pretty good. He's got a lot of skulls in that closet. So I think if you're Merab, yeah, you're sitting pretty, man. Maybe you just wait for that answering of the bell for Umar to run it back maybe later this year. I mean, the only name that sounds interesting just because it's new is a Davison Figueiredo, but I don't think he deserves a title shot. So it's like there's really again no one that's he's gonna go fight Peter again, go beat Sugar again. It's like, yeah, I don't know. And Dana doesn't like doing a lot of those things. I mean, Sugar can definitely sell some tickets, but Sugar find anyone to sell tickets. So if you're Merab, I think you wait for Umar. I see. Ooh, it's got to be Sandhagen, in my opinion. Western mass climber.
Yeah,
I like it. Okay, WMC.
That's the pick. That's the pick, my friend.
I know.
If it's
it
not a
just
rematch,
sucks.
it's got to be Sandhagen.
Yeah, it sucks because he's coming off the loss to Nurmagomedov. I mean, well, but again, like he's beat everyone else. He being Merab, like Merab's beat Sean, he's beat Umar, he's beat Piotr.
That's what I'm
he's beat
saying. Like
Corey,
the worst thing is he was cleaning the division out before he was champ for 3 years.
Yeah. So now it's just you have to run it back. This is where we're at now. He's at that stage already. Crazy. Yeah. No, I love Sandhagen. I mean, that's a guy that I wish we saw more often, man. I mean, him. I do you not want to see Sandhagen O'Malley? I mean, tell me, WMC is Sandhagen versus Merab where I think we know what's going to happen there? Or would you rather see 5 rounds of pure violence and some of the best striking we've seen with the Sugar Sean and Corey the Sandman? You tell me, but I think that's where I would prefer to see that get spent, and then Umar run it back. They put it on the same card.
Right you are, Cotton. Right you are.
A lot you can do there. Well, I won't be mad either way. Merab can go out there fight all the time. He's got a fan in me. Sandhagen, the Sandman, is a legend. Can't wait to get him back in there as well. Oh, okay. Sandhagen versus Merab. Book it, Dana. Book it.
Yeah, I mean, let's do this the best versus the best game. I'm excited about it. But I mean, I would also pay money to watch the other one too, like Sandhagen versus fucking Chickashaw. Give it to me. Speaking of the best versus the best, sometimes we get the best in the world versus the man who is the best at stepping up on the occasion. And that is simply what we got on Saturday night for the main event, folks. We had a lightweight bout between Islam Makhachev coming in against Renato Money Moicano. I mean, look, before I talk about the performance of Islam Makhachev, the absolute masterclass that it was and kind of everything that he needed it to be and wanted it to be and laid out for it to be. Let's talk about the things that Renato did well. He stepped up into the biggest slot of his life on short notice, a day's notice. And he went out there, Nano, and he landed the same number of total strikes as Islam Makhachev did on him. They tied, they matched each other on total strikes, 18 to 18. And on significant strikes, something you might not know, Renato outlanded him by 3. So he was landing the bigger shots technically. But I digress. Those are the good things that Renato did. And he was also very, very humble in defeat, which I did not expect. He was very graceful on the mic. As Dustin Poirier, his training partner, says, when things are good, be grateful. In times like those, be graceful. And he was exactly that. He was graceful in defeat. But again, Islam Makhachev came out there. He waited for Renato to start to feel comfortable on the feet and to make a mistake and overextend. And the second he did, literally the second he did, Islam was in on a leg. And that's all she wrote. The man just circles around the outside. There's not a lot you can do once he gets to you, folks. And this was no different. He got that Darce on him. Welcome to the Darce side. It's one of his best skills in the entire toolbox. And I mean, look, Demetrius Johnson said on his podcast this week, I felt it. I know. Fucking Max Holloway just texted me. How strong is that Darce? It's strong.
He's what did he say? He's like, he tapped my black ass twice with that thing.
He did. He literally says like, he tapped my black ass twice with that thing. In the same training class, not in a week, not in multiple days, in the same 1 hour fucking class, 1 hour training session. He's like, brother, let me show you. I have to check who give you black belt, brother. Why I DOS you so easy? Next time I get you with one guillotine. This guy, Islam Makhachev, he might be the best lightweight we've ever seen and will ever see do it. I think he's better than Khabib. It's not his fault that the resume is falling through to an extent. Nobody wants to fight him. And when people do fight him, the people that you think are going to win, like Charles Oliveira for a lot of you guys, like Dustin Poirier for me, it just simply doesn't happen. He levels up and he makes himself look that much better going in there against our biggest heroes and greatest mixed martial arts stars. So, Nano, what were your thoughts on this fight? Did anything at all surprise you?
I mean, honestly, I was super shocked to see how late Arman pulled out and everything. Like, I was watching, well, I think we already got the news in the morning, but I was watching the show with DC and Lawrence Sanko and all them. Is that the pre-show, or I forget what they call it? I'm blanking now. But the UFC,
the live weigh-in show,
live weigh-in ceremonial, live weigh-in show. But they were waiting till like I don't think it showed up until like 20 minutes, 15 minutes left with time to weigh in, and Arman, that news didn't even break yet. So I was just shocked that it went down like that. I mean, that last minute is crazy. I've had back injuries. Like I have like a big old knot on my lower back actually that I need to go get checked out. It's like a benign growth now. But like, I mean, slip disc or sciatica, or I've had rib muscles. I mean, nothing too extreme. I'm not trying to say I'm some, big, heavy, crazy guy with all these injuries, but it's like, I'm trying to allude to like, what the hell happened? Like how could this have happened so last minute? What I will say is I know with spasms or cramps, or as you're cutting weight, maybe something happened, maybe it locked up and hey, your back locks up. I totally understand that is what I was trying to insinuate. But man, it was just super unfortunate. Like, just a big bummer for Arman. And now he's not going to get that shot again. Like, he's going to have to earn his way back in. I'm sure he will. But to be that close, you work your whole life and something like that happens. It's unfortunate. And then you see all these videos of him and Nina drama, and he's doing that stupid fucking back thing. It's like, all right, bro, what are you doing? Right? What are you doing? I hope he was doing all the right I hope he wasn't doing the wrong things and that happened, is what I'm trying to say. Because that's on the eve of the biggest night of your life. Just unfortunate. And shout out Renato MF and Money Moicano. I mean, stole the show at the press conference, dissing our boy Gavin Newsom and saying, fuck that. It's not one day's notice. It's a lifetime's notice. I can't afford to lose. I have to win tomorrow. It's a lifetime. Fuck that. Yeah, I mean, dude, I love Money Moicano. He said all the right things, and kind of unfortunately for him too, right? He was a different game plan. Hey, the striking looked good. He dropped Islam. I mean, you could say he dropped the pound for pound best right now. Dropped him.
I mean, it was a slip. It was a slip.
Okay, fair. But Money Moicano, in his book, he dropped him.
They did show the replay on the giant screens. I thought it was a drop at first, and then when they showed the replay, I was like, oh no, he slipped.
He just kind of lost his footing a little bit. Yeah, hit him. I mean, hey, landed a punch. Like you said, even striking differential. Like he had some things to hang.
He did land 3 more significant strikes in the fight. He could take that to the grave.
I out punched him. I gave him more punches. He's got the better choke, and that's really what it is. I mean, I guess the one takeaway as well from all this is I'm glad that Islam's starting to kind of establish himself and the Dagestani gangster, which we might need to have some shirts around that. I don't know if you saw DC gave him one. I actually took a picture of it.
I was very upset that they didn't have those on the merch stand. Yeah. And yeah, man, we will definitely be working on making something like that.
We'll get something going here. I got a lot of time on my hands in between jobs, but that was a big takeaway. And then now you mentioned the Darce side, the Darce choke. Like Islam's now established that is his choke. You could probably say he has the best stars choke in the UFC ever. I mean, is that now the Islam? All jokes aside, I mean, great choke. He's a hell of an athlete. I mean, we are very fortunate to see Islam in his greatness. The passing the torch from Khabib to him, he now has more lightweight defenses than his predecessor. What's next? I guess my question is, do you think he's serious about going up and trying to fight Dricus du Plessis? Do you think that was a real call out? Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do. He said he'd go as far up as DDP, but not as far up as Alex Pineda because he's realistic.
He's like, come on. I forgot how he answered it, but he's like,
I tell you, if you give me one chance against Dricus, I beat this guy. I have better grappling than this guy. I just need one chance. But I'm not going to fight Alex. Come on.
I think they asked him, they're like, what about Alex? Like, maybe not that much. He's like, not that much. Maybe not that much.
Maybe not that much. Light
That's a little
heavyweight
too
is
much,
too much.
That's too much. Yeah, that's a little too much.
He's like 205
is a little bit too much.
Okay, that's too much. I love that. So genuine. But man,
dude, look, I got to tell you, we got some fire being thrown out in the chat right now, and I am absolutely 1025% with Tico Tech here. It's got to be. It's got to be Patty the Patty Pimblich versus Money Moicano.
definitely the one to make. If you want to talk about money, if you want to make money, when you do UFC, you put me against Patty Pimblett. That's for money. I like
Patty
that.
Pimblett, easy fight, the easiest fight in the division.
I'd
Easy
expose
money.
him. I take his money. I can't afford to lose. Touch button, the part. Wow, Dikotech. Okay, I like it. A lot of gymnastics,
as far as what's next for Islam Makhachev, I mean, it can't be Arman Sarukian because my theory is that Arman Sarukian actually was not going to make weight with all that new muscle hardware he's got on him. And I think he realized it at about midnight, which is why he had his manager call. And they cooked up we pulled his back. Because if you listen to Dana White when he was asked at the post-fight presser, if Arman is going to be given the next shot, he said no, he's going to start from ground zero and have to work his way back up. And he then goes on to say that him and the best doctor at the UFC staff went to Arman's room after they got the call and inspected him. And he didn't say he doesn't have an injury. He didn't say he does have an injury. He said, me and the best doctor I have on my staff, such and such, went to his room. We checked him out. And sometimes you just lose opportunities. That's what Dana said. So to me, that says that he took a medical professional to the room. And that medical professional essentially told Dana either outside of the room, with her eyes in the room, or on paper at some point in time, yeah, he could have fought and something else is going on.
Like it was an injury or something locked up or a spasm or something, but he still could have fought. I
don't think there was any injury. I'm being completely candid. I think he was not going to make weight. He doesn't usually make 155. He usually makes 155 and a half at best. Usually he's a 156er. And he looks tenfold bigger than he's ever fucking looked.
He looked huge. And he was, because that happened at like 1 a.m. Is that what it was official?
Yeah,
1 a.m. he called?
Dana said he got the call between 12 and 1 a.m.
Yeah. Squandered opportunity, unfortunately.
Like with all due respect, like if you're not fighting in a championship fight, you continue trying to cut even if your body's like going into shutdown mode to some extent, right? As long as you're not going to literally kill yourself. But if you're going into a championship fight and your body stops pulling water out, your manager's probably going to make the call to say you're not going to make the weight. And if you do make the weight, you're going in there against the best to ever do it. You're going in compromised. This is not how we want to do this. And this is already your second shot at Islam. Likely is the last chance we got.
Yeah, it's tough. And what did Armand say specifically? He said he was training on the bike or something like that, and he felt it. So even that, it's like, are you training
and again,
on the
like,
bike
bro,
at what time? When did this happen?
Like you're on the Aerodyne, you tweak your back. No, you're on the Aerodyne. And again, the video they literally posted of him on the Aerodyne, he's not sweating at all.
Yeah.
Like, for me, the video is the fucking proof.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough.
Like I went back and watched that video and I'm like, Like you see him grab a towel and like wipe his face, and like the towel, I mean, he's not sweating like someone that's in like full weight cut mode the day before their fight.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, and hearing all the other news about people not showing up for him after the fight, or he kind of insinuated something like, "Oh, these people want to hang out, and then I pull out, now they aren't there." Which, I mean, those things happen, but I guess why I bring that up is, I feel bad. It's like, I'm not going to sit here and count him out, or, Dana maybe kind of harshly let him know, like, hey, no, you got to go earn it. I mean, you got to go get one back. I don't think you just automatically get the nod. So, hey, go back and earn it, man. I mean, if you have all the belief in yourself, I mean, you'll go, you'll do it the right way, you'll do the right things, you'll stay focused. And whether it's a Gaethje, a Holloway, a Dustin, like there's a lot of guys that can help get you back into that same position.
I think they push him farther back than that.
Oh, let's see.
I think Dana's going to be pissed off by the way that he was speaking. I think Dana's going to make him work. I think he gets Rafael Fiziev or someone like that next. Like right outside.
Is Dan fighting? Does Hooker got one? He's got an.
Dan is fighting. They just announced Dan Hooker versus Justin Gaethje.
Oh,
I think that's at 213.
Beautiful, dude. Yeah, that's fire. Holy cow, that's fire. Yeah, Arman. I mean, Arman lost to Mateos. Maybe you throw him back up against Mateos. Gamrot. If you could beat him, maybe yeah.
Give the boy Chandler. Oh, yeah. Give the two men that look like they have the most hardware in them. I like
they were
that.
going back and forth.
Kill yourself.
See, and that's why I said Dustin, was because Armand said, I'd rather fight someone that beats you twice or something like that. Which I think is, was that Charles or no? Who? Dustin? Who beat him twice?
Who twice?
Armand responded to Chandler and was like, I'd rather face someone that beat you twice, or maybe that has beaten you. Maybe not twice, but they were going back and forth.
I'm assuming he's talking about maybe Dustin. And he's already said he'd fight a training partner, which is why I'm not a huge Armand fan. Because him and Dustin have trained together before. So yeah, give him Chandler, bro. Let the boy watch.
Let the boy watch.
Let him learn like I watch. Dude, I love that fight. And I loved every single fight on this card, folks. Look, I could do this all night, but I have work in the morning, and it's also getting late, and I should probably get to bed with my lady. So, folks, I hope you've had a wonderful night. I hope you've enjoyed the last almost 2 or so hours listening to us break down UFC 311. And more than anything, I really hope you all enjoyed the fights on Saturday. UFC 311 in Los Angeles, California was one of the best events in the world that I had the privilege of sitting at live. Just an incredible night of fights, breathtaking performances from start to finish. There was 1 or 2 fights that were kind of grapple heavy that maybe not everybody loved, but still really, really solid night of fights and a great night of fun. Glad my boy Crossover MMA was able to make it out, and glad to be doing a wrap-up show with my boy Nano post fights to give you the breakdown and the good, the bad, and the ugly, folks. So if you're new here, if you're old here, if you're anywhere in between, do us a huge favor. Like, comment, subscribe, smash that bell for notifications. And the only other thing we got to ask you to do is this. Keep on going and keep on growing, folks. Thanks.
You've been listening to the MMAnomaly Show. No filter. As you may have been able to tell, we dig the MMA, and our passion is to dive deep into the upcoming fights, give you our expert breakdowns, and help you make sense of all the chaos that is the fight game. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, make sure to find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at MMAnomaly. Be cool, and we'll see you next time.